Hi, Studio Recapped here. Today we're going to talk about a movie called Brotherhood of the Wolf in the thriller and horror genres. Spoiler alert is on? Watch out and take care. You won't believe how much your support means. Thank you so much for your support. The movie begins when Old King rang a book about his life. The story is based on his memories. At the start of the movie, we see a terrified woman covered in blood running away from a beast. She tries to climb a mountain, but the beast suddenly attacks, pulling her back and mercilessly slamming her against the rocks, killing her instantly. Meanwhile, in a village, a group of people are searching for a father and his daughter, intending to kill the girl. The villagers start fighting and attacking one another. Then two warriors arrive. They jump in to save the father and daughter, fighting the villagers, snatching their weapons, and taking them down one by one. The villagers believe the girl is a witch, but the two warriors disagree. They don't believe she could be one, so they decide to save her. However, the moment she starts speaking to them, her father quickly grabs her and takes her away. One of the warriors is named Frank, and the other is a man called May. They travel to the palace to meet the king. They meet the prince, who is actually the same old king from the story. He takes the warriors to the king, who had summoned them to the palace to kill a beast that had been terrorizing the kingdom for 2 years. Most people claimed the beast was a wild wolf. The entire kingdom was living in fear, and the king had called upon these warriors because they were known for their bravery and fearlessness. The king offers them a reward in exchange for killing the wolf. The prince shows the two men their rooms, and they quickly become friends. The next day, the prince, Frank, and Manny head into the forest to track down the beast. They discover the corpse of a woman, her face horribly mutilated by an attack. However, there are no traces of any animals nearby. Back at the palace, Frank meets a royal woman named Sophie. The moment Frank lays eyes on her, he falls for her beauty and tries to strike up a conversation. Later, as Frank is discussing a map with some others, Manny gets into a fight with the villagers. A large group of them attack him, attempting to kill him, but Manny fights them all off alone, effortlessly defeating them. No one could stand against him because he was incredibly fast and skilled. In the end, he kills many of them. The king, witnessing a chaos, fires his gun into the air to stop everyone. Meanwhile, we see the father and daughter again. Father calls his daughter a witch. Suddenly, she starts trembling and vomiting. The villagers are enraged. They've never seen anything like this before and believe the girl has been possessed by a demon. But Frank, who has some medical knowledge, quickly realizes what's wrong. After checking her, he declares that she isn't a witch, she's simply sick, and no one has the right to harm her. The next day, the king's men prepare to go into the forest. Sophie, the king's daughter, insists on joining them. They begin hunting down all the wolves, shooting at them. The people believe that the killer wolf must be among them, so if they wipe out the wolves, their land will be peaceful again. Frank and Manny observe the mass hunt from a distance. Then a white wolf appears, escaping from the soldiers. Sophie aims her gun at the wolf, but Frank stops her. The king's soldiers slaughter countless innocent wolves, hoping that the deadly one will be among them and that everything will finally be over. The fear of the wolf grips the entire kingdom, and people gather inside the church. The priest tells them that the only way to be saved from the beast is through prayer. At that moment, a terrified man rushes inside. The man reveals that the wolf attacked his son. The boy was badly wounded and left unconscious in a cave. His condition was critical. The man begs for help, pleading with everyone to save his child. The people rush out of the church to hunt the wolf, believing it couldn't have gone too far after the attack. As Frank moves through the forest, he stumbles upon another dead body horribly mutilated by the beast. While examining the corpse, he discovers a piece of metal lodged in the body. Manny enters the cave and finds the injured boy, unconscious and barely alive. He quickly carries the child out, hoping to get him treated in time. If the boy regains consciousness, he could describe the beast's appearance, something extremely rare, since few survived an attack. Meanwhile, Frank tells the others about the piece of metal he found on the corpse. This suggests that the metal belonged to the creature that attacked. Frank points out that no animal or wolf has iron teeth. This means that the beast was either no ordinary wolf or wasn't a wolf at all. Frank speculates that the creature might look like a wolf. His words shock everyone, especially a warrior named Raja. Nobody believes him. If it wasn't a wolf, then what was it? And where did it come from? Raja removes Frank from the mission, declaring that from now on, the king's men will handle the hunt. Frank is furious and frustrated by this decision. Meanwhile, the injured boy regains consciousness. He has survived the attack. The boy says that the creature that attacked him wasn't a wolf, but something else. However, he can't name it and insists that no one has ever seen such a strange animal before. He has no idea what it is. In reality, the creature wasn't attacking on its own. It was being controlled by someone with terrifying hands. Whatever the controller commanded, the creature obeyed. Everyone is scared after hearing this, but a little later, they dismiss the boy's words, saying he's just too frightened and talking nonsense. People found it unbelievable that someone could control such a dangerous creature. A few days later, a hunter summoned Frank. The king and his men had assigned the hunter the task of killing the wolf. When Frank arrived, the hunter claimed he had killed a wolf. Then, he asked Frank to alter the dead wolf's body to match all the descriptions of the dangerous creature people had talked about. The hunter wanted to show everyone that the deadly beast had been killed so he could be hailed as a hero. He was even willing to pay Frank a lot of money for this. If Frank refused, Hunter threatened him. Frank agreed to do it because he needed money. He modified the wolf's body, transforming it into the terrifying creature people had described. After that, Frank went to see Sophie, but palace guards refused to let him in. That's when Frank discovered that Sophie was engaged, but she didn't love her fiancé at all. Meanwhile, her fiancé had become aware of the bond between Frank and Sophie. Sophie's fiancé showed her a portrait of another woman that Frank had drawn, causing a rift between them. Sophie was upset by the painting and felt like Frank was deceiving her. Frank tried to explain, but Sophie told him to leave and never return. Heartbroken, Frank walked away. Meanwhile, a hunter displayed the modified beast's corpse to everyone, claiming it was the deadly creature that had been terrorizing them. He declared, "I killed it. Now we're safe from harm." Everyone rejoiced, believing they were finally rid of the beast. However, elsewhere, a woman who had gone to the forest searching for her lost baby goat was attacked. The wolf viciously killed her. Later, as Sophie sat alone in the church, a woman approached her. She revealed that Frank often visited her but assured Sophie that nothing ever happened between them. She told Sophie, "Frank has only ever loved you." In reality, this woman was a prostitute whom Frank had slept with at a secret gathering. She had a mysterious and unusual personality. Hearing this, Sophie's anger toward Frank disappeared. Meanwhile, Frank and Manny were preparing to leave the kingdom. Just then, Prince approached them and revealed that the real wolf was still alive. The one they had shown the people was a fake. The prince asked them to stay and handed Frank a letter from Sophie. After reading it, Frank agreed to remain. So Frank and May returned to the palace. That night, Frank secretly went to see Sophie. Both of them were overjoyed to see each other and embraced tightly. But suddenly, the monstrous creature approached. It first attacked and killed a man, then turned its sights on the others. For the first time, they could clearly see the terrifying beast. Its skin was bizarre, almost unnatural. It made the creature look even more horrifying. It was so powerful that no one could stop it. The beast lunged at Sophie, but Frank stepped in, fighting it off. He told Sophie to run away. Just as the creature was about to reach Sophie, the one controlling it called it back. The next day, Frank, the prince, and Manny ventured into the forest to defeat both the beast and its controller. Before long, Manny spotted the creature. Frank fired his gun at it. The wolf fell into a pit and became trapped in a wooden snare, but moments later, broke free and escaped. Before vanishing, it managed to injure the prince. Frank and Manny don't stop attacking and keep shooting at the animal, injuring it and wounding it to some extent, but they can't overpower it, and the wolf escapes from them. Frank takes care of the prince while Manny bravely goes after the animal. He reaches a cave where he sees the villager father and daughter. The old man hides the animal in a safe place. Manny is very surprised and doesn't understand the old man's behavior. But suddenly, the villagers come after him, surround Manny, and attack him from all sides. As we saw before, Manny easily stops them and fights back. After pushing many men out of his way, as soon as he sees the villager's daughter, he fixates on her and gets struck from behind. Manny is wounded, and everyone picks him up. They beat Manny up badly, and after torturing him, they throw down his half-dead body. We see the white wolf again. The wolf calls Frank. Upon seeing his friend's body, Frank screams in sorrow. He takes Manny home, but the treatment doesn't help, because he's already been dead for a while. Frank, furious and determined to take revenge for his friend, sets off alone this time. When he arrives at the designated place, he sees everyone celebrating and dancing. He starts shooting fire arrows, and with rage in his heart, he destroys anyone who gets in his way. He attacks everyone in any way he can. After killing many people, he returns and burns his friend's body. The king and his men come to Frank and arrest him for killing the villagers. Frank is imprisoned and is set to be executed soon. After some time, a prostitute comes to visit him. The woman claims that she was sent by the priest and gives Frank some information. In reality, the woman works for a secret society. The society had raised the dangerous animal with purpose. Some of the king's allies were involved in this. They aimed to take control of the land. The woman says that the priest wants to kill Frank because he knows everything. After eating poisoned food, Frank feels sick and dies shortly after. Sophie visits Frank and finds out he's been killed. We see the woman and her people visiting Frank's grave, and it turns out that the poisoning story was a lie. In fact, the woman had been giving Frank anesthetics for a while to show him to her father while he was unconscious. Sophie was deeply saddened by Frank's death. Her fiancé comes to comfort her, but starts mistreating her under the pretense of giving her solace. During this, when he reveals his hand, which was always hidden, we realize that it is the same ugly hand that controls the animal. So, Sophie's fiancé controlled the animal. Now it's clear who had been causing the terror in the territory. Frank, very angry, goes after the members of the society and starts killing them, killing many people until it's the turn of Sophie's fiancé. A thrilling and exciting battle breaks out between them, but it doesn't take long before Frank takes control of the man and finally kills him. The father heads to the forest to escape from Frank, but at that moment all the wolves surround him, attack him, and kill him. The prince comes to Frank and tells him that Sophie's condition is bad and she's dying. Frank goes to see Sophie and gives her medicine, but the girl doesn't wake up. Frank stays by her side for a long time, praying for her. Eventually, Sophie wakes up. Frank goes to see the animal. We see that the wolf is still injured and hurt. The old man tells Frank everything. In the past, a rare animal from Africa was bought. That animal gave birth and was let loose on the people by a bunch of scoundrels. These people aim to dominate the people and the land. Frank ends this situation by killing the animal and saves everyone. He and Sophie finally head to their kingdom and live a happy and peaceful life together.